Thank you very much, our fellow Africans, and welcome to today's episode of the Change for African campaign. And so, fellow Africans, being on Thursday is all about our fourth pillar of the Change for African campaign, all about the living standards of our people in Africa. And so, fellow Africans, the living standards, we all understand, we are now focusing on the very issues that are very near to the African people, to our people in Africa, in our communities in Africa, all of Africa. We know that still the average standard of our lives, of the lives of our people in Africa, are still not very good. So, fellow Africans, to help us exemplify our today's episode number 84 of the Change for African campaign will be the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 3, that is all about good health and well-being, but not directly number 3, but its key target number 3.2, which is about that by 2030 we should be focusing on ending preventable death of newborns under the age of 5. These are children under the age of 5 and also the newborns who are just born. Remember that going through the African state of matters in terms of this goal, especially the target, that Africa has the highest child mortality rate globally, and that many deaths are due to malnutrition, preventable diseases, poor health access, and unsafe birth. These are some of the problems that Africa is facing, and one of the reasons as to why Africa perhaps is not doing well in being able to achieve that goal, or being able to have made some good steps in that goal. It's because of some of these just basic cripplers that are making Africa not to advance in terms of being able to achieve that goal, and being able to make sure that we are able to reduce or have that end on the preventable death of newborns under the age of 5, and children under the age of 5, I mean. So, because remember in Africa, and also some of these things is because, as we have said, poor health systems that are in Africa. So it means that it is a wake-up call, because these are some of the things that make the living standards. These are some of the things that are built up for us to define how are the living standards of this community. These are some of the things. Remember, this is about health and well-being. Health is one of the very things that are very near. These are very things that are very basic to the human life, that are human being or the people of Africa are supposed to, let us first embrace or come up with being able to have good health systems that can be able to facilitate our people when they undergo this. Because remember, some of these deaths are caused by maybe in our maternity hospitals, whereby children actually die, or mothers lose their children because perhaps the standard or the way that healthcare facility is maybe not well equipped with the requisite things that are supposed to be there, so that they can be able to take care of these newborns. And also, so improving maternal care, nutrition, vaccination, and health systems is key towards being able to achieve this goal. Because remember, in Africa, these are systems that are still very low. So it is an obligation to the current governance systems to be able to make sure that they do, adhere to this and take it into their heart. I know we have some places in Africa that are doing, possibly well in terms of the healthcare matters and the healthcare facilities in their countries in Africa. But remember, in Africa, we are one person, we are one people. So we need to at least have that commonality in terms of the service, even the service delivery, meaning that in every corner of Africa, everybody needs to rise up. People need to rise up. People need to take it into their heart that we are one people, and so we need to be functioning the same. In Africa, the 54 odd sovereign states, just because these are just boundaries. But remember, we have the same. We have the same cultures, we have the same approach to things, we have the same problems. So once we have realized that we are facing a particular problem, we are facing one problem, what we do is to develop the same intention toward curbing that problem. And that problem is under the living standards. And one problem under the living standards is about our healthcare and well-being of our people in Africa. It's still a problem. Remember, it's a United Nations goal, meaning it's a global thing. But then, as we say countless times, that we are African and Africa is our business, so we discuss Africa. This now is the African context first, because Africa is home. As we have said, we are one people. We go through common problems as Africa, so we need to be addressing these issues, using from one angle, that this is what you need to do, that the problem you are facing is starting from here, and this is how we can curb the problem as the African people. Because Africa is a land whereby we all know that being a continent whereby the highest child mortality rate, it is unacceptable, because it just ranked as Africa. It's not saying like maybe Namibia or Kenya, but these are the things that come up and say this is Africa. They will say maybe Europe has the lowest child mortality rate is Europe. They'll say maybe America, all those sort of things. But then Africa, so it is our chance. It is time for Africa to make sure that we are responsible for the lives of our people, and being responsible calls for us to look for send policies to come up with requisite conditions and requisite facilities needed to cater for this goal to be able to thrive, and for this goal to be able to be successfully implemented. So fellow Africans, allow me to end at that point. Let's meet tomorrow as we discuss about our 5th pillar of the Change for African campaign, all about the climate change that we face as an African continent. And for that reason, remember, we have about a month. We'll be celebrating our World Environmental Day, so we'll be updating you on that also. But let's meet tomorrow as we discuss that. Have a good time. Thank you.